And
hello. Okay, let's get started then.
great introduction. Anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ATWView.
Sure.
This is my family. We are ATW. Tonight's special is surrounding, celebrating, appreciating, admiring, and focusing on women's wrestling. The greats to come, the greats that have gone, and the moments yet to be created. I, of course, am here with the ATW family, but I am not your leader this evening, as again, we have our own fine lady herself that also enjoys wrestling and is trying to become one too. She is definitely, in a way, herself elite. She is a very kind, smart, civil, sensitive, respectable mind. It is our good friend, self-proclaimed queen of ATW, Miss Megan Chibba, and I now turn over the forum to her.
Okay, well, let's just get straight into it. We've had recently the women's top 50, and I haven't got the thoughts from you guys where you would put certain people, any women that you think were ranked too high, too low, anyone that they may have missed in general, something we haven't spoken about that I think we definitely should speak about. I'll give you guys, some time to think, and I'll throw in my first thought. Why was Bayley third? I mean, Becky. Becky should have been first or maybe second, and Bayley was really low.
All right.
We all know that I wouldn't have put Charlotte. So we definitely should have put Becky above. But maybe that's my own personal bias.
I mean, to be fair, we're all fans with our own vibe. So allow me, as your assistant coordinator, to change the floor to one of our other friends here. He is the enforcer of ATW, and he certainly has proof of it too. Lex, your thoughts on the WWE Top 50 Women in Wrestling?
Top 50, eh?
Yeah.
This is quite difficult. This is quite difficult for me for top 50 because there are a lot of great women in WWE, outside WWE, in AEW, in Stardom, and across the world. But to say top 50, I have nothing to say, but who are the top three in terms of women's wrestling? I have no clue who's the top 5, who's the top 10, and who's the top 50. But all I can say is all women in wrestling are equally deserving and equally, in their own right, consider themselves the best.
All right, that's a fair rebuttal. Eric, you are a guy that looks beyond the ring. And I mean that in the kindest way. You bring an informative mind and an open insight to all things pop culture, wrestling, and as far as common sense goes in society, lack thereof. But give me your thoughts when it comes to you think about women in wrestling. Who are the trailblazers for you? Did you look at the special group, their list? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I looked at the list and I was like thinking the first one was like, why is Tony Storm number 50 and Stephanie
Jesus Christ.
At least she made the list.
Also, why is Lita not in the top 5 at least? She's at number 8.
I mean, shocking. That Lita in the list did her dirty, man. That's not cool.
I'm like, considering the circumstances surrounding WWE and Lita from years ago, which I don't know.
Oh my god.
It was
man.
Why?
But
man. I was thinking to myself, like Trish Stratus and Lita should be side by side in the list.
That's what I thought. I thought they were too far apart. There are certain people that rank close together that were spread out too far.
And
that was definitely one. I don't think.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. And I know you said you wanted Becky Lynch to be at number 2 and Charlotte to be basically out of existence for some points. I would honestly say, if I had to be brutally honest, if she stuck around more, Ronda Rousey could have been in the top 5, and especially since she and Charlotte are the only reasons main event Mania happened.
Or top 10.
I think it depends.
Ronda
I think
Rousey's
it
at number
depends
9.
what you look at. The way you class the top 50, because in my opinion, the way the top 50 is to look at every single factor that makes a women's superstar. And I think Ronda Rousey was too high, and that's coming from me, like a fan of the MMA 4 Horsewomen, but I think she was a bit too high. Because if you look completely at every single like aspect, when you look at, you know, title runs, you look at global impact. Global impact was one of the only things that Ronda is kind of untouchable in a category, which is why I would put Becky higher as well, because Becky also, in terms of the actual evolution of women's wrestling, would be so different without Becky. She was so forefront in everything that happened in the past few years. But I would have put Becky as number 1, in my opinion. But I think Ronda was a bit high, and I agree. If Ronda was here for longer and maybe got another title or worked without the title, because that's something that's really important, to be able to work without the title, to be able to actually run and be involved in storylines without a championship and still be interesting, is something really important that not a lot of women superstars can do.
Yeah, and also, I would actually I look at China in top 4. I was like, wow, I'm actually surprised they even put her on the list, since they try to omit her and then say she can be talked about after she's gone, because that's cruel. But I was like China, I could totally get her being in like the top 5 because she was IC champion, she broke barriers, she beat the holy hell out of Vince at times.
And she had the storyline with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, though that never went anywhere at the end of it, because she was fired unjustly because Vince's favorites.
Yeah, which has always been one of the critical downfalls when it comes to the showcasing and overall respect of women's wrestling and the women in wrestling. With that being said, let's keep this conversation.
Here's the thing. I was at least glad they put her at the top 5.
I am glad for that. She deserved that.
I would have been.
I was worrying as we got close.
I would have been more mad if they went out of their way to put Stephanie above China. because
I'm glad Stephanie made it on the list.
Oh,
Stephanie is definitely
that's a low blow.
That was very deserving.
Same here.
Oh. Well, I mean, again, she is the boss. She's a former women's champion under circumstances. And I guess you could say she kind of helped push it forward, since she did hire the talent, or at least help push the brand. So again, it depends on how you look at it. But according to what I read and watched, this was about more so who did more in the ring. And I guess she has been involved heavily.
I wish we could have a list that was not just women in the ring, because there's so many people that, like, people in general that have worked in WWE that I think are so important to be recognized that aren't recognized enough. Renee Young, for example, is someone that should honestly have so much more, she should be spoken about so much more. Renee Young, Jessica Carr, all the other female referees that we've had been introduced recently, they are just as important as, if not more important, than the actual women's superstars in the ring. Because when you start to see like the infiltration of women just everywhere, not just on the TV, like in the main roles, but to just be infiltrated completely in, that's when you know the movement is real. That's when you know things are starting to be better. And you start to see them, like Beth Phoenix is one of our best commentators in NXT. NXT commentary is awesome. To have a woman on there, it's not just women being on there for no reason, because she adds a different perspective, not just as a woman, but also as a former wrestler. Like, you always see, like, Vic Joseph will throw something to her because of things that she's experienced in the ring that other commentators will not have experienced, bringing like a completely different side to commentary.
To be honest, as Beth Phoenix is a Hall of Famer, and she's criminally underrated in terms of, being talked about.
Yeah.
She had a lot of greatest feud. Imagine Trish Stratus in her prime versus a prime Beth Phoenix.
That was a feud I was waiting for, man, to develop. If nothing else, special showcase, man.
Imagine a fatal 4-way. Prime Trish, prime Lita, prime Beth Phoenix, and then prime Mickie James.
No. Here's a better idea. Beth Phoenix versus China.
There it is. That's the match everybody wishes could happen.
Be a classic.
Two powerhouses going at it.
And two trailblazers that broke glass ceilings when it came to the perspective of a woman in wrestling. But again,
both of them actually entered the Royal Rumble.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep this conversation going.
And if Nia Jax wasn't such a botch, this is someone who I'd also put in. Nia Jax is someone also I would have put like that Royal Rumble spot with Nia Jax and Beth Phoenix could have been so much more if people, you know, were more positive towards Nia Jax, if we liked her a little bit more.
Well, that's a whole different type of story.
I still maintain the belief they really should have taken the risk and put Candice LeRae in the Royal Rumble match just to have her fight Randy Orton and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, she is hardcore. We know that.
Everyone that knows her before would have loved it.
Imagine in the Royal Rumble, Candice LeRae enters and Johnny Gargano is in the ring.
Well, they have faced each other one-on-one before. You're definitely onto something. But let's keep this conversation going because we did go off the topic. Casey, your thoughts on the women top 50 that was showcased on the network. Were you happy with the spots? You saw like some of your favorites. Now, I know you're a little bit disappointed because your key favorite was not maybe where you wanted. I think she was acknowledged. I don't even know because I couldn't remember them all. But give me your thoughts towards the WWE women's top 50.
All right. My honest opinion about the women's top 50 going on. I think one thing I got to say is Dakota Kai should be on that list after all, because she is first Kiwi female superstar signed to WWE after all. And that, with her being the first signed Kiwi female superstar, that would open the door to a lot more Kiwi female professional wrestlers to follow in her footsteps if they want to go into professional wrestling. And after all, I wasn't too thrilled with Becky Lynch being a little low. I think Becky Lynch should be at number 1, because she did so much for the women's division and coming a Grand Slam champion after all. And don't get me wrong now, Trish Stratus and China and Beth Phoenix are both trailblazers and iconic woman professional wrestlers that blazed the trail and blazed the way for other female wrestlers to have a opportunity in the business after all. And here's where I would rank Bayley now, because Bayley, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a fan of the hugger gimmick when she started out with that. I'm a fan of this current gimmick, Bayley, like now, how she's more serious and she's more like in the zone when she wrestles, because I like how she has the cocky attitude down pat. And Bayley, here's where I would rank top 50 female professional wrestlers. Becky Lynch, number 1. I'd put Sasha Banks at like number 2, and Bayley number 3, because after all, those 3 did so much for business. And don't get me wrong, Charlotte should be number 4 at the least, because the 4 of WWE's horsewoman did a lot for NXT. And Sasha Banks and Bayley, I never forget that classic takeover match that they had many years back. That's still memorial lies to this day. And a lot of women that want to wrestle Iron Woman matches in NXT, that's definitely a tape that they could study down the line if they want to know how to put on a classic.
Well said. And again, that match, in my opinion, was truly the breaking ground for women's professional wrestling being pushed forward to the stratosphere in the WWE, in my opinion. And still to this day, I call it, it's still my all-time favorite women's match in WWE, not just NXT, as a fan since 1992 in WWE history. And I've seen Trish Stratus versus Lita in the main event of Raw. I've seen Victoria in a steel cage. I've seen trailblazers like Jazz, Jacqueline. I saw standouts like Gail Kim, like Mickie James. Lithium. I was literally rushing WrestleMania 22 recently. With that being said, there's still one other perspective to get on this topic, and that is, of course, the king of ATW, my brother Anthony. Welcome back. Your thoughts on this top 50 special they did. Key picks that you thought were either wrong or classified right, and any other changes you would have made to the list.
As I'm looking at the list on GiveMeSport.com, because I saw clips and pictures of it on Twitter, and I'm looking at the list as you know, y'all were talking. I did notice a few who I think should have not made the list at all. And I'm gonna scroll on it, and starting with Kelly at 45 right there. I don't know, like, I get it.
Interesting.
ECW on the sci-fi, which I knew was going to be a disaster from the get-go because it was under the WWE brand, under the WWE banner, and it was going to reboot ECW on sci-fi. God, I don't know how they wanted to do that. But Kelly at 45, how was that even possible? I mean, all she did was started her expose back then, and then she became a Divas champion. She really did, in my opinion, she really didn't make any much of an impact around that time in the Divas division, because of course that was dominated by the Bella Twins. You had at the time, you still had Mickie working until she went to TNA. You still had Natty around and Tamina around in the 2010s and thus forth. But if I was to redo a list, because, you know, growing up, watching the Attitude Era, all these women like Ivory, Jacqueline, since 97, since I started watching this sport, like Ivory, Jacqueline, and who else I can think of? The Cat and Tori Wilson and all those others. I mean,
and Sable.
I'm about to say Sable, big stick out.
Yeah,
right.
Sable was, yes,
she definitely was.
Biggest stick out. If I was to redo this list, in my opinion, and here's where my list would go. Trish would be sticking at number 1. I'll put Lita at 2, because when you go back and you watch that first Women's Raw main event, who is the 2 people you think of that basically the first women to main event a Monday Night Raw? You think of Trish and you think of Lita. So you think of Trish, you think of Lita. So that's how I would do that. Becky could be stayed at number 3 because, like y'all said, y'all touched on it. Becky has done so much. Becky has done so much for the business for herself, in which, you know, she became, you know, the underdog who transformed herself into the man as we know today. And I'll put number 4, sticking with China. See, now, Asuka and Sasha, that's where I feel a little bit like,
oh, here we go.
50, but I'll let it go for now, because Asuka was the undefeated. What she was in NXT, unlike we see her on the main roster, she is nowhere near what she was in NXT. God, please save her, Triple H. Please save her, Triple H.
Triple H, okay. come get your kids. It's like for example, the kid got stuck at school because no one like, you know, everyone went home, and the parents said, "Hey, Triple H, come get your kid."
And he calls them his kids, so I get that. But go ahead and finish up.
He needs to come and collect. He has a whole class of kids he needs to pick up.
I call him Papa H when it comes to NXT stuff. I call him Papa H.
Papa.
And I call
Papa H. Where are you?
I call Shawn Michaels Uncle Shawn. And Papa H.
Oh, I'm sure Shawn Michaels had some influence in some of the women that we've seen today. Just saying.
Papa H. if Papa H can't make it to pick up his kids, then Uncle Sean can make it pick up his nieces.
I can babysit. Blah blah blah. It is all mentality.
Wait. If anyone becomes naughty under Uncle Sean's babysit, they get a sweet chin music.
That's what I was literally figuring it was going to.
Sweet chin music.
Now I understand where King is coming from when it comes to night with Sasha and Asuka. But again, Asuka, she was that real first standout in NXT that totally took the division in a different direction. As she took on all comers, and literally it seemed like nobody could stop her. It was the first time since I can remember where they showcased somebody in WWE as an unstoppable champion under a full-time status. Eric, you got a thought?
I agree. I mean, like, remember, they said, Asuka, you're going to surpass both Goldberg's overinflated streak and legit streak.
And she did.
Did.
But the way I see it is this. When you look at this list, it's subjective. We all are biased in a way because we have personal feelings, and that's just us as fans. But when you look at the perspective the range on this list, and they did talk about honorable mentions such as great legends that started off women's wrestling to begin with, pioneers like Mae Young, I almost forgot the name, Lord help me, and also people that had great impact outside the ring. Whether you like them or not, they pushed the business forward from a different perspective, and I gotta give it to Vicky Guerrero at the top. But as far as this list goes of people in the ring, I have to agree. Trish Stratus, she did everything in and outwards to raise the identity of women from one perspective to the other. I would have put Lita with her because, in my opinion, they are the first real to me that stuck out beyond anybody else. Yes, there are other greats for that moment, including Chyna and Sable when she took down friggin' Mark. But
okay,
I feel like overall this top 10 was pretty well organized. Maybe Ronda Rousey's a bit of a push because, again, it was literally a one-year tenure, and I probably would have put somebody else up there like Natalya, but that's just my opinion.
I might have a hot take.
Go for it.
I actually think Alundra Blaze was a little too high because now people just remember her as, oh, she's the one that dumped the WWE Women's title in the garbage.
Right, yep, and then she came back with it at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and even she makes fun of that whole thing now.
Yeah, but hey, she took on Japanese legends like Bull Nakano as well. So, I mean, again, you look at it from different perspectives. But the bottom line is this list I thought was fairly unbiased and did pretty well. There might be a few spots I would change because, again, I feel like you need to equally respect the past and the most recent. And I'm glad that Trish Stratus was number one overall because the bottom line, I agree at least with number one. Nobody else should be in that spot. Okay, now I will turn things over.
I want to change gears a little bit.
Go for it.
So I want to go back to a conversation that we had earlier. To bring it over, right? Because there's two people on this list that I think, personally, maybe everyone else will agree with me, because, you know, it's one of my unpopular wrestling opinions, but two people I think should have been higher. So let's bring back the earlier conversation about the Bella Twins. Because I would have ranked them higher. The fact they didn't make it into the top 50%, like they didn't make it into the top half, kind of bothered me. Because they were just, you know, but let's go back. And Noah, I want to go back to what you were saying earlier. I told you to bottle up the feelings and hold on to them until we can get it on here. So I want you to now release those feelings. And go off, continue your rant about where we were at with the Bella Twins.
Well,
let's carry this on now.
I wouldn't say it was a rant. It was more so a pontification when I think about the perspective that the public appearance and image of the Bella Twins is outside the ring versus them in the ring. And it's even been said in their book, they had to go through hell just to even get some sort of garner of respect in the locker room because they were looked at differently. They always were the first thing you saw on TV because, well, they were twins. They were the valets for every guest was imaginable, but they both did put in the work. They had the support of the locker room leader of the last few generations, in my opinion, Natalya, and they did push women forward in the WWE. Now, you may not have liked it initially, And you may not have liked the fact, okay, one was pushed more than the other due to maybe favoritism, because that's always going to be a businessman thing. But both of them together, they did what they had to do to stick out on their own, but still stay together through this entire thing. You think about some of the stuff that the Bellas did and what escalated afterwards with them pursuing their own business, their own reality show. They're basically pushing for the perspective that women can do anything in and out of the ring. You don't have to be just a pretty face or someone with to go ahead in WWE. But the bottom line, I'm just going to keep it simple. The Bella Twins, they did what they needed to do under a difficult era of a whole different perspective when it comes to fans of women in wrestling. And in a way, they helped push forward women's wrestling, whether you like it or not. So when I think about this list right here, if this is the last thought regarding the list, also subtitled about the Bellas, I look at this list, I think about the names on here. Ronda Rousey, the great year she had, she was at number 9. Alexa Bliss, she's a little girl that basically became her own multi-time champion and is a huge character. I probably would push the Bellas a little higher in the top 20. If nothing else, I probably would have put them right next to Natalya because they were working together through the same era. But I still probably put AJ Lee above the Bellas because AJ Lee, she broke the mold about I don't have to be a glamour girl on a reality show to be something great. I proved that geeks and nerds can rule too. And as an anime fan, a video game fan, AJ Lee will always have a special place in my heart. So with that being said, though, I respect the Bellas for what they did. And I feel people that give them a negative outlook for what they did are simply looking at this with too short of a sight.
Okay. I
and
think
plus,
oh God.
Sorry. So regarding the Belgians, I'm not a fan of them, probably never will be. And I do think politics was involved in certain stuff that was never brought, like AJ Lee's big promo she cut, and she was supposed to do a sequel. They never allowed it.
Correct.
But I was still like, okay, you know, despite all that, you would think, oh, they're going to get an epic Hall of Fame speech. And then they came out and said 3 to 5 minutes. They were told, oh, no, you're going to only get 3 to 5 minutes. We're probably going to give Hogan like 20 minutes because he's Hulk Hogan. We like him, even though he's a terrible person.
brother.
I believe in the greats of the past. I guarantee you this was a
I think we should wait for that part when we talk about the changes to the division currently.
All right. But anyway, like I said, that's my thoughts on the Bella Twins and their outlook from in the company, in the ring, to usage outside the ring, to pushing boundaries beyond the ring. That's all I have to say.
See, I think that the people that don't have the respect that the Bellas, like they don't have respect for the Bellas is because they are uneducated about actually what they have gone through. Like I feel like those people, if they sat and actually took the time to read their book or watch their show or listen to their podcast or just listen to any Bella Twins fan that will gladly tell you the amount of hard work that they put in. Because so many people just look at them and just see like, oh, they just, got handed everything because they were pretty. But no one helped them. They went in to WWE having no idea how to wrestle and no one helped them. Natty was the only woman that helped them. They were forced to change in the toilets because they were not accepted. And they worked so hard. And I think in the era that they were in that Divas era, where unfortunately the women were not trained to know how to do things the same way as the guys, so their wrestling skills were not on par. The Bella Twins were way ahead. Being athletes themselves were so far ahead in terms of actually wrestling skill. But then, they came back, and I don't think that they realized how far evolved actually in terms of in the ring the women had got.
Mm-hmm.
And now Brie Bella is only ever going to be remembered for those few mistakes that she made. But
sadly.
Yeah.
And I don't think that because they were so far ahead back in the Divas era that they just weren't ready for how things were going to be now. I don't think that anyone can kind of prepare for the years of evolution and the amount of training that the women now have. So I hope that when they do make this new return for the tag titles, please don't be against Shayna, that
ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't figured it out by now, this is the biggest Shayna Baszler fan you will ever meet.
We'll get onto that later.
Right.
I'm not finished with my anger that I have accumulated today and the past few weeks. But yeah, we'll send that over later. Let's change topics now because otherwise we might end up talking forever about the same thing. But there's something we need to talk about. For anyone that views this, anyone that needs to get to know us better, we should have our discussion on our Mount Rushmore for women's wrestling. Very important that we do so. And I know how stressed everyone gets when I ask this question. When this question is brought up, everyone gets really stressed out about it. I knew I was going to ask, so I had some time to think about it. So I'll go first while you guys think, and then we'll just shoot for whoever's ready. So mine is always changing, and I know for so many wrestling fans, it's so hard to just put 4 women in one spot. And I look at things from my perspective, being young, from the actual wrestling that I have watched and I have grown up seeing. So my list will be different. I can't look from, wrestling in general, and there's women that, maybe my list would change, but from just my growing up and people that influenced me, of course, number 1 is Shayna. Don't be surprised.
Not.
Not surprised at all.
There's a case for you, y'all didn't know.
It's all good.
Number two, I'll put Becky, because in terms of just everything that's happened in the past few years, WWE would be a different place without Becky. Also, I'm half Irish, so we got to give the side to Becky, but nothing would be the way it is without her. Then I would put Natty, not in terms of Natty as just her character and what she's done in the ring, but her as an actual person and for everything she has done for every single woman that has walked through the door, because I don't think any woman would be the same without her. She has trained and she has helped, and she's been such a big influence to every single woman in WWE that things would not be the same without her. And then one of my personal favorites, Beth Phoenix, is who I would put as my 4th, but also that could be interchangeable with Paige. There is between Beth and Paige would get my last spot, because both of them mean so much in terms of changing the perspective of women. Again, with Shayna, who I'd also say the same. Paige was not the typical, one, she wasn't American. She came being one of the roughest British girls. And, the whole fake tan thing with the Bellas. And she came with her black hair and her whole emo thing. And she was so determined to be different and to stand out and to walk out there and scream at the fans. When do you have people come out and just scream? Because that was awesome. And her career ended too soon, and I think everything she did, I think she would have been so much bigger if she was able to carry on with the way that things are now. And Beth Phoenix is just incredible. Everything she done in the past to her current Royal Rumble performance, to have your head bleeding like that and to survive through such a long period of time to then be eliminated by Shayna Baszler. But such a long period of time in a match when you are in that much pain, and to everything she has done, being the Glamazon, even having to work with Santino for the longest time and be involved in the comedy, but she showed that women had personality and strength and beauty, and she showed everything, which is why I kind of put 4 and 5 together. But it's okay. But that's where I put my list.
Very nice.
You were talking about Paige, and I found this, and she said this regarding her neck. She said, I get chills when I saw Bryan and Edge talking to each other backstage. It was so inspiring. It makes me feel good. I haven't had issues with my neck right now. Sometimes I'll wake up and feel weird, but it will go away. I'm going to get my neck checked really soon to see progress on it. Hopefully it looks good. I'm not saying any form that they're going to clear me. It's literally just a checkup. But I'm intrigued to know how my neck has progressed. It feels good. It scares me as well to come back to wrestling because I really want to and would come back tomorrow. But I'll have it in the back of my head, what if something happens and I do get paralyzed? It does scare me. I know I'm not going to be fully ready mentally to come back, but watch out, world. When I am mentally ready to come back, everyone's in trouble.
I know she will make a comeback one day, and I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but I know how determined she is to
chasing
make a
the
comeback
dragon.
one day. And she's still so young. Her career ended, and she was so young.
Yeah,
I really do think she has so
circumstances
much
surrounding
time.
it. Yeah, like
She has so
I'm
much
still
time to
baffled.
come
I,
back.
I wanted to bring up the Brie incident. Like, as much as I'm not a fan of the Bella twins, like I went up to defend Brie, say like it wasn't her fault. She didn't intentionally try to injure Liv Morgan, just like how I say Sasha didn't try to injure Paige, and they get death threats for it, overreacting like that.
And if you guys watch the
People are
episode of
ridiculous
Total
for that.
Bellas or Total Divas, when it
Watch.
actually happens, the devastation that like you can see from Brie, because no one intentionally goes out to hurt someone, and accidents happen. And that's the thing that people need to realize. When you can get in the ring and try and kick someone in the face but not actually break their nose, then you can comment on a women's wrestler. Until you can do that, please do not.
Well,
Please don't
that's
say
the
that.
thing.
actually
Fans
one
believe they have
wrestler
all
that
the
did that.
answers, even though they have never even touched the ring.
I want
There
to
was
chime in
Terrible.
one
on the
woman that
Paige
did break
topic.
that rule. The
I
whole
wanna-
People have all the
hurt
answers to
someone.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
And unfortunately, there
Eric-
have been people that legitimately injured and didn't seem to have a
Eric,
conscious
I want to chime in on the Paige situation. What she said about she wants to return in. I know we have the likes of Daniel Bryan, Edge returning from spinal stenosis type of
And
injury, and Sting, and we had Roman Reigns come back from leukemia. I believe that Paige could return. I mean, the technology for medicine and surgeries are evolving, and what could be injected to someone could possibly enhance their system, body system. I believe that Paige could return someday, but with caution, step by step, baby steps.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and plus she's 28. She has enough time on her hands. She has enough time to wait to get
To
officially.
be honest, I want Paige to finish her career on her own terms, like how Edge said it.
I feel like that's the best thing you could hope for anybody in
Here's-
wrestling that you've grown a connection to. But with that being
Here-
said, we kind of went off topic.
Yeah,
but-
I
Here's
was actually
what-
gonna
here's
actually
what I
have my
gotta-
Mount Rushmore a little
Yes,
bit
we
right now.
did.
Here's
I
what I
actually have
gotta
three.
say.
I'm still struggling with the four. I
So-
had the three in mind.
Here's-
Wait,
Yeah.
Here-
are we still in the Mount Rushmore topic?
Well, Casey's,
Here's my-
Casey's got a thought, and then I think he has his. So let him talk
Here
first.
is my take about the Paige situation. Now, Paige, don't
Important
get me
subtopic.
wrong about her. I have a lot of respect for her, where she came from and all that. Because actually, when she first got injured and her career ended, I thought that was a damn shame because she had her whole life ahead of her. And I believe now, I mean, since she's still in her prime at 28 years old, late 20s, that is not that old at all. I mean, she could come back tomorrow if she wanted to, but what I say is she will be very cautious, and I say she's going to take it day by day, like not rush it. Just wait until the time is right.
There you go.
And I believe,
NXT UK
Paige,
debut.
and I believe Paige will be very cautious about her neck, and she'll change up her move sets some where it's not too much pressure on her neck, and she'll be like very
No
careful.
more headbutts.
And she
What is
won't.
with you on British wrestling? Why is that a
She
thing?
will not
That I digress.
do.
It's just a thing. It's a very big threat as well. It's just a
She-
threat that I think people have taken into the wrestling ring.
Right.
Someone
And
amazing.
Anyway,
she-
continue, Casey.
And Paige will be taking it very easy when she gets back and all that. And actually, if she returns, which I know she definitely will, because I would never count her out for one, because she's very tough. And I believe she's not going to be working that much of a heavier schedule like she did many years back. I mean, if she can handle a heavier schedule, then I give props to her on that one.
Right.
I got a lot of respect for her. I mean, if she comes back, I'll be very glad she returned, because I actually like to see careers end when wrestlers get get too old and their bodies are no longer able to handle it anymore. I don't want to see an injury take their career out.
I feel like that's the best way. You can only hope for a wrestler, whether you connect with them or not, to go out. Anybody that truly wants to pursue what they want to do the rest of their life should be able to end it personally on their own terms too. I feel that's got to be the goal of every pro wrestler. But great stuff, by the way, with Paige. She definitely could be part of a Mount Rushmore here. But what's that, Lex?
Gives them closure.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You want the person to have closure. But speaking of closures, let's see, Mount Rushmore. Again, been a fan since 1992. Grown beyond watching just wrestling in WWE, because there's much more to wrestling than sports entertainment and what you see in and out of the ring through a WWE branded product. That being said, I will focus on WWE and who's been involved in WWE, then, now, blah, blah, blah. With that being said, I'm going to have to give Trish Stratus one spot because, again, she did everything first in and out of the ring, elevated women's wrestling game in the ring, led to the first ever Raw main event, multi-time women's champion. One of my favorite matches still, Survivor Series 2000, not Survivor Series, botch, Unforgiven 2006, Lita versus Trish Stratus, where she won it in her retirement. And I saw Trish Stratus return at SummerSlam 2019, and that was a freaking awesome match. With that being said, Trish Stratus is definitely one for me. Now, as far as the second, everybody needs a running mate. Trish Stratus gave you one perspective. Lita showed you women can go extreme. Lita has to be part of that Mount Rushmore, because without those two, a lot of today's women from a personality perspective and in-ring focus, you would not see today. That's a guarantee. Now, as far as the other two, it could be Renaissance, Journey women. It could be women that have really taken the business over today, or women that have continued trailblazing all over the world in and out of WWE, because we've seen returns. But I'm going to keep it simple. I actually picked for the third one of the four so-called four horsewomen of WWE. I just call them the four horsewomen of NXT. I love how all four of them have elevated, no pun intended, women's wrestling, and how much it has garnered more respect from a presentation and a time standpoint, especially in NXT. With that being said, I look at those four. You think about the one with the Flair name, had the most pressure on her, no doubt, and still has the heaviest criticism on her to this day due to politicking and Vision Man booking. You think about the other ones, though. You think about Bayley, this lovable one that's a fan at heart that just wanted to do what she loved, and people really didn't take her seriously. And then she took herself in a whole nother perspective seriously because she feared being left behind. She changed her own game, but she's not my pick either, which just leaves two. You have one that definitely did not fit the mold, but took matters into her own hand, a Stone Cold type way, without stuttering Vince McMahon, and changed the game. And then you have one who, in my opinion, has the most strongest challenging mentality to herself to continue doing what she loves, to the point she's probably been on the verge of a nervous breakdown, as we've seen from the 24 specials. And without Bayley, who knows where Sasha Banks would be mentally wise. It was really hard for me to pick between these two, but personally, after what she did, and again, she was not meant to be. She made it be. I have to go with Becky Lynch. Now, as far as the fourth, that could be absolutely anybody. I mean, there are so many incredible women that have elevated WWE's vision, perspective, and overall respect, I feel like, for women, though that's still a trending topic that can be talked about for days on end. Criticize, ridicule, bully, critique, judge, you name it. I'm not here to do that. As far as the fourth one goes, there's a lot of them, but I'm going to keep it simple at one that is now part of WWE. I'm sure cannot wait to get in the ring with some of the greats, and one even called her out. The final boss, Michael Satomura. Michael Satomura is a trailblazer worldwide, deemed one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, men or women-wise, today, deemed the final boss for a reason. Sasha Banks wants to face her. She was involved in the Young Classic, had incredible matches with one of my favorites, Killer Kelly. I hope Killer Kelly is doing well in Portugal. Look forward to her return to Impact Wrestling. She was involved with Toni Storm, and Toni Storm overcame her. And most recently, she took on Kaylee Ray in her toughest challenge to date for her title, where somehow, clean, I might add, Kaylee Ray won. If you can make a heel go over your opponent clean and still garner respect, you are truly something special. And that's why Michael Satomura is the final spot on my Mount Rushmore. And I cannot wait for her versus Sasha Banks.
I'm so excited for Thursday. She's back in the ring.
Yes,
We have
with
another
Millie
match.
McKenzie.
Same here.
But
same
anyway,
here.
that's my Mount Rushmore. There you go.
Okay,
I
anyone
kinda
else?
got mine.
Ready?
Wait.
Oh,
Who already
hold up.
had their who already had their Mount Rushmore?
Me and
Me
Noah.
and Megan. Go figure. Hi, Megan.
Okay.
So
Hold
let's
up,
go
hold up.
ahead
Next.
and
Go.
bring it to
Oh.
Eric because Eric has been waiting and waiting, and then Lex, you're next. Then
Yeah,
Keith,
bring
Casey.
Derek.
So Eric, go.
Okay. I actually was a debate with one of them. It was so interchangeable because they're both important, but there were three others that I really wanted to put on here. The one that was interchangeable was Trish Stratus or Lita for the reasons that you said, Noah. One that liked to bring wrestling to mainstream and one that took it to the extreme.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, Becky, the Four Horsewomen. I think Becky Lynch has that right. But the other two I actually took as interest. I was like, okay, if you want to put someone in there, you got to put someone that broke barriers. China's one of them.
Mm.
Now, the fourth one,
Right.
I actually was royally struggling with this, but then I thought no one was ready for her.
Ah,
Asuka.
that makes
Nice.
sense. Absolutely. Kana turned Asuka. That absolutely makes
exactly
sense. Damn good Mount
those
Rushmore.
were the five I was like, but Stratus and Lita were the ones I was struggling. Like who do I choose for those? Like, I have those three, but Lita and Trish Stratus, they were so they like one couldn't work without the other so well.
Damn
and it was
right.
and they did thrive a lot, and I couldn't pick which one. They're so interchangeable for me on that.
Well, again, one was the high class person you would expect get all the credit, and this other one was an absolute extreme renegade. It was like two opposite worlds that clashed together perfectly, and they made countless, endless moments that have inspired so many women rivalries today. Bayley versus Sasha at the forefront, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But great Mount Rushmore. All right, Lex, you're next.
Who's ready?
I gotta take a drink now.
He's getting prepared.
He's like, okay, here I go.
Here I go. Okay, how many people we need in Mount Rushmore? Only 4?
Correct.
4.
Okay, okay, I gotta go with Trish Stratus because one, I met her in 2006. She was the nicest kind of person ever. I mean, when I said, okay, you know how we're all kids and we have a crush on women's wrestler, and says,
I think you told us this.
yeah, I had a sign that says, Trish, will you marry me? And then she pointed at the sign and I was like blushing as hell. Oh my god. I was like,
That's awesome.
what have I done? No,
Wow.
it was my
Congratulations.
Bro.
It was my sister's
Bro,
fault
that's
because
awesome.
she said, hey, bro, use the sign. Okay, I said, okay. And then Trish, she was standing on the corner she then pointed and I was like,
Someone give Lex defibrillator. He passed out in row 7.
No, I actually met her after the show. Because everyone went out, and then my dad said, okay, story time. Okay, it's women's. Okay, the ones that came out during that time, my dad said, hey, is that Mick Foley over there and Trish Stratus and John Cena? Hey, go approach them. I mean, you really you deserve this. I mean, we paid for this, and then and then then Mick Foley and Trish and John Cena said, hey kid, did you enjoy the show? I said, yeah. Then I said, I'm so I apologize for the sign.
He's starstruck.
I was stuttering like a child.
Yeah, you were starstruck. That makes sense, man.
Understandable. You're starstruck, bro.
Okay. I made you all laugh about that. Okay,
That's awesome.
That's a story.
That was cool, man.
Before cameras were a thing, that's a memory that I will never forget.
There's some things you keep with
course.
yourself forever,
You'll
and
never
that's
forget
one
that
you
when you're a
definitely
kid.
should. But with that being said, you still got 3 on your Mount Rushmore left.
Okay. One of the toughest women there is, Beth Phoenix.
The Glamazon.
And then we got the undefeated, most bubbly personality, colorful hair, and she strutters around in the ring.
And yells Japanese.
Yells Japanese. I gotta be biased because she's Asian and I'm Asian, so
well, go for it.
I go with Asuka.
Because no one's ready for her. And your
Because
final one.
And the final one, I gotta go bias again because I have an Irish friend right here. I gotta go with Becky Two Belts, known as the Man, because actually out of all the 4 NXT horsewomen, Becky's my favorite because not because she stands out the most because of her colorful, her vibrant red head, her fiery, never give up attitude, her passion. She earns her position unlike Charlotte. No offense to Charlotte, but
booking politics.
Becky keeps it real, keeps it 100. She went from a stewardess to I don't know what other job she had, to a professional wrestler, and she trained under Natalia back then. And
again, Natalia, leader of the locker room for generations. Definitely somebody to always think about.
And then Becky headlined WrestleMania. To think that this Becky and Ronda would happen in Survivor Series, but due to Nia Jax got blown and I'm not done yet. That iconic moment where she's busted open, that got me into like rooting for Becky a lot more. Becky.
You and a bunch more fans that thought WWE was soft and not hardcore, and this is the woman that didn't even know what she was doing during that moment, as she admitted.
Yeah, she said she doesn't remember that.
You don't remember it.
The crowd covered in her blood,
and everybody loved it.
I mean, and then here's the thing: Becky deserves to be in the Mount Rushmore because she done a lot more than the four NXT. I mean, she became Becky.
The work ethic question is debatable.
Yeah, the work ethic.
I get what you're saying. It's a different outlook, though, of her work to where she got to be. And I get that. And I think it comes down to which journey you correlated with the most. Hence why I picked Becky.
I have 4 honorable mentions.
Okay.
Lita, Meiko Satomura, Shayna Baszler, and Natalia. That's my 4 honorable mentions.
Okay, that'd just be like the Mount Rushmore in front of the sub Rushmore, okay? Because you got it, like I said.
Rushmore.
Megan, you knew this was going to be a subjective topic when you made it. And guarantee you, the next time we ask this, if evolution to occurs, we'll talk more about that later, we're going to be completely different again, because I'm going to write this down and be like, oh, I remember talking about this. Wait, I'm going to change this.
We've had this conversation before, and every time it changes. Because and I think in a few years' time, it will change again. More NXT UK women's superstars, more NXT superstars, the more impact they make, the higher up on our list they're going to be.
Yeah, and again, it's fan base, it's subjective. With that being said, still got 2 more. King, you're next, brother. You're Mount Rushmore.
Whoa, I've been waiting just like Eric was. I've been waiting on this one.
I imagine.
My 1 and 2 has always been the same for the past decade and a half. It ain't never going to change. It's my Rock and Austin rivalry of the women's division, Trish and Lita.
Bam.
When you go back and you look at what they have done starting out when they first came into the WWE, back then, Trish was the manager valet for Test and Albert, TNA, for those that remember the Attitude Era those days. And then Lita first came up, when she had her first stint in ECW, and then she came up, was part of the Godfather's Hoes at the time, which I will not recall that. Because, 4 or 5-year-old me, and then 5-year-old me watching the Godfather doing the whole train.
Oh God.
And then
What's this
then
girl
she managed,
doing?
and then she
Oh my
and
God.
then, and then she managed as say Rios, which turned out they were dating back then before she found her way with the Hardys and became, more extreme. And then
Game
you
extreme.
go along and then you go follow their journey. You follow their rivalry. It's exactly intertwined, just like Austin and Rock. They basically cross paths, and every time they step foot in the ring, they always tell you the better story of what happened from their previous matches. Now, 3 and 4. 3 and 4. See, I was debating about this almost all day. But the number 3, I gotta go with, when you look at women, you look at your standouts. You got your Gail Kim, you got your Natalia, you got your others. Sorry, my phone dropped.
Bosh.
Sorry, my phone dropped.
He said,
Botchamania.
he said Gail
Botchamania.
Kim and his phone fainted.
Botchamania, baby.
Right. It's like, yo, can't pick up my phone. Anyways, when you look at your standout in the women's division of all the generations, there's one that stood out to me the most as a kid. And she has done many, many, many things within her career. And I feel like she passed away from us way too soon. And yes, I am talking about the one, the only, the nice wonder of the world, China.
That's
Without
right.
China, there is no DX. Period.
Exactly.
Exactly
Period.
right. She made DX.
Because not only, like y'all said, she was breaking barriers, but all like as a 2-time intercontinental champion. But I was watching, whenever y'all get a chance this next week, it's about to be WrestleMania week. I was watching WrestleMania 17 on the Peacock, on the WWE Network, on their app. And it brought me back so many memories of when China was basically, of why she reminded me of why I like China. Her strength, her agility, her power in that ring was so dominant. You was just like, she's so beautiful, but yet so, dominant in the ring. And then to conclude, let me take a page out of us, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. 1, 2, 3 into the 4. I'm about to close out this wrestling Mount Rushmore. When I said Snoop, there's only one person that is related to Snoop. And yes, I did see her live at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas in that triple threat match. Whenever I saw Lita unveil the new WWE Women's Championship at the time. Yes, I am talking about the Blueprint, the current SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks.
Because and Indigo's crush.
Yes, Indigo he will be falling all over Sasha Banks. But I've been following her career since she was in NXT. Remember her pairing with Summer Rae at the time?
Yes.
I didn't understand that. I was like, why is Sasha with Summer Rae? Like, someone make sense of this. And then the later she matured and she grew in the ring. And that's when you know she had the potential to be the biggest star, one of the biggest stars in WWE history. And when I look at Sasha, I'm just like, she really is the blueprint. Out of the 4 horsemen, she is the blueprint because she takes her craft very seriously. She takes it very seriously in that ring. And you can tell by her in-ring work, she takes it really seriously because when she has said it multiple times she has said this, but her favorite wrestler growing up is the late, great Eddie Guerrero. And it shows because Eddie in that ring was basically a workhorse in that ring. Heck, he was carrying the SmackDown division underneath the Ruthless Aggression era. Yeah. And it shows into her work
so true.
She's willing to put the women's division on her back when she needs to. And you see her progress when you see her progress on SmackDown, it really not only just on SmackDown, but also on Raw when she fought Charlotte in that Hell in a Cell, their first ever women's Hell in a Cell. And I was like, they're really about to make history with this. And they did not disappoint. That's why I always put Sasha at 4 because she knows wrestling when wrestling matters.
Powerful stuff, man. Very powerful stuff. Respect on that outlook, too. All right, Case. Eric, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, also, King, you also got to remember, William Regal revealed that Sasha was the only person he ever put up to bat for, saying, if she doesn't work out, fire me.
Exactly.
There's something special.
And I always respect Regal. When you told me that, I was like, that made me respect Regal even more. And also, looking back, I don't think at WrestleMania 35, I don't think Bayley and Sasha should have dropped those women's tag team championships, because they're the ones who carried those championships. And I know we got some Iconics fans here right now. I know I'm not the biggest Iconic fan. Everyone, I'm not the biggest Iconic fan. Never was, never will be. So, but I don't think
that's a discussion for another day.
So,
okay. Well, first off, respect. Secondly, Casey, Megan. 1, 2, 3. Iconic. All right. Well, we were all out of sync, but I don't care. Anyway, Casey, you're last. You're Mount Rushmore. Oh, this is too much damn fun. Oh, God.
All
right.
Number 1 on my Mount Rushmore, would have to be Trish Stratus.
That's the common collecting here.
number one, she made the ruthless aggression with the woman's era. I mean, she made it awesome and letting all that. And Trish made the women's championship famous at the time. And number 2 is definitely Lita. And that's definitely The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin of that era, like King said, because Lita and Trish Stratus had some classic matchups, especially I remember a steel cage match back on Monday Night Raw at the time. And Lita was very high risk taken, and she was not afraid to take a lot of high risk. And that's what I admired about her greatly at the time. And number 3 on my list would definitely be China. Because without China, there would be no Degeneration X with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, X-Pac, Billy Gunn, because China made Degeneration X back in 1997 and the 90s and all that. And China was the best enforcer that DX ever had back in that day. And
yes, she was.
Damn right.
China was also an icon and a trailblazer for other women of today. And number 4, going way back now, that you cannot forget, Sherry Martel.
Oh, man.
That's strong.
Okay. You win.
Let me finish.
Go for it.
Without Sherry Martel, also known as Scary Sherry, there would be no Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels started out as the Rockers with Marty Jannetty. And in AWA, they're known as the Midnight Rockers. And the famous barbershop window where Jannetty dove for the window to try to escape from Shawn Michaels.
That's one way of looking at it.
Sherry Martel, she was behind the success of Shawn Michaels' career as the Heartbreak Kid, because there would be no Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels if it wasn't for Sherry Martel.
Sensational Sherry.
And that's my first Mount Rushmore list.
Nice.
Second one of honorable mention, the new generation Mount Rushmore list.
Okay.
Miko Satomura would be number
Yes.
one on my list
Okay.
because she's wrestled a WCW in the 1990s, and I was only a baby at the time. She was around the 90s in WCW, and it's an honor to pleasure and a pleasure to see her now tear up the scene, dominate the scene for 25 years, the wrestling business.
Still going.
And and that's very impressive for anybody. And number two, y'all know where I'm going here, is Dakota Kai.
There it is. I was waiting for that, Mr. Bias. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
Dakota Kai.
DK.
Because cannot forget about the king known as the captain. Because for one, Captain Dakota, also known as Dakota Kai, is the first signed Kiwi professional wrestler for a female superstar. Because number one, when she first signed the professional wrestling business as the first Kiwi female superstar, she's also blazing the trail for other women out in New Zealand to follow that path of professional wrestling if they want to be professional wrestlers someday. Where I could see Dakota Kai within the next couple years is when she gets too old and her body can no longer handle this. I could see her becoming a coach, and I think she'd be a great coach for the upcoming professional wrestlers, a woman out in New Zealand, because Dakota Kai, after all, if anybody can easily be a top heel NXT Women's Champion down the road, it is definitely her, because I seen her work in other indie promotions and starting in one indie promotion where she's coming up where two women are talking trash about her, and she's coming up the escalator and she stares them both down and gets right in her face. She was champ at the time. If she could easily pull that off again, if they give her a shot at the NXT Women's Championship down the road, and I think she'll be a future NXT Women's Champ within due time, I hope. And number 3 on my list, cannot forget about this one, Io Shirai.
She crazy.
That is there now. Because Io Shirai is someone who can pull off a picture perfect moonsault.
Oh yeah.
And make it look so easy and perfect.
One of Stardom's all-time greats.
And Io Shirai, she is one of Stardom's greats, just like you said. And Io could easily be a dominant NXT Women's Champion. And if they give her a long title reign, Io Shirai, I think, is perfect to break Asuka's title record in NXT. If she could
Spoiler
go
alert, I believe Io Shirai is going to retain.
But
spoiler alert.
I'm not sure about that.
But I cannot wait to see this match with Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez, because in this match here, it is speed with Io versus power in Raquel. Now, can Io beat Raquel in a strength game? Absolutely not. No way. Can Raquel beat Io in a strength game? Definitely yes. But if all Io's got to do is use her speed against Raquel to physically frustrate her, where Raquel cannot catch her at any time. And don't get me wrong, I like both of these women, Raquel and Io, but I think it's going to be a great match down at TakeOver, and they're going to definitely put up a classic here. don't get me wrong, Raquel is one of my picks to win this because Dakota Kai, she's going to be at ringside,
Yes.
and she will definitely be a factor into this match.
Right.
And because if I've seen any old tapes, like for example, Ravishing Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 5.
Classic.
Back then.
Classic.
I seen Bobby the Brain Heenan play an amazing factor in that match and cost the Ultimate Warrior the Intercontinental title. Now I can definitely see Dakota Kai pulling a Brain Heenan move and cost Io the match by holding down her leg where Raquel has the advantage in 1, 2, 3, but that more than likely that won't probably happen, but you never know. It might and it might not.
Well, it is NXT.
Io,
they do things a little differently there.
Listen,
you can see Io retaining after all in NXT, just like you said, they do little things differently. I mean, they'll come out with several things, though. But I think
I can
Io
see it going either way.
Right.
I think Io will have the heart and the courage and find the will in a way pull out the win.
Okay. Well, what's your, sorry about segueing you. What's your fourth on your honorable mention?
Number 4 honorable mention is Asuka.
That's a one-on-one waiting to happen. I'm just gonna say it right now. Io Shirai versus Asuka damn well better happen some point in WWE.
Io Shirai and Asuka definitely has instant classic potential written all over it. Because number 1, I don't trust Io Shirai and Asuka taking place on a Raw or a SmackDown pay-per-view because they will mess that incoming classic up. And what I say needs to happen is Asuka needs to come down NXT and visit and have a classic match at NXT TakeOver where it's so big it can have Io Shirai versus Asuka for the NXT Women's title where the past meets the present. And therefore, Asuka puts over Io and officially passes the torch to Io for the next leader of the NXT Women's Division. And Io retains the NXT Women's title over Asuka as the passing of the torch moment.
That's just a moment waiting to happen. You're creating NXT magic right there. And I love the fact you did honorable mentions. Because again, the thing about Mount Rushmore, it's so subjective. But the bottom line is this. We respect the then and the now of women's wrestling. We have some comments. We have some bias. But at the bottom line is this. You can't argue with how many there are moving forward or has moved forward women's wrestling. And we're not just talking about WWE either. That's just what this forum is focusing on. With that being said, back to our host for our next topic.
Okay, so I think we should get into a very detailed topic, potentially maybe our last, because we are going on very long. But this is one that we all need to talk about, and I know the rants are coming. So maybe I'm gonna pass on after I announce the topic to someone else, store up my rant. But let's talk about the current division right now. So we know between Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, we know where the superior brands are, we know where the superior treatment is, and there's such a range of skill and everything between all four. But we have 4 title matches. We have 4 champions. We have 3 title matches set up. Potentially a 4th one. With the tag titles. But we'll get into that. But I'm gonna throw to King first. Let's start talking about the current women's division right now, where it stands, looking towards WrestleMania, TakeOver, NXT UK Prelude. I'm gonna throw it to you. Put you in the hot seat. Any thoughts right now about the current division?
Oh, put me in the hot seat here, Mix. Man, girl. Got me sound like Bianca Belair here, girl.
Girl, Okay, well, let me give you a more directed question then. Let me give you a topic to focus on. Let's talk about, as you brought up Bianca Belair, let's talk about what should be the main event of night one, yet to be confirmed, but what should be the main event of night one, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's title?
To me, this is the match that I've been looking forward to ever since Bianca won the Royal Rumble this year, and that she was going to go for Sasha. Everyone knew that was coming, and I'm glad it happened. And I'm hoping it's going to stay. I'm hoping it will be confirmed as night one, because it deserves to be. Because I don't think we'll ever get this chance again. I mean, we had it at 35. We skipped over 36 with that, and then hopefully this year we get it again. But when we started out the build, I really didn't like how they put Reginald in all of this. Like, how is like the build between you got basically a great in Sasha and a great in Bianca, but yet you put the feud around Reginald. Like, what does Reginald have to do with all of this? Like, absolutely nothing. Like, he should be dealing with his own stuff with Nia and Shayna.
Oh Lord!
But yet they kept.
No. There's something over here.
But I mean,
There's one thing
But
about Sasha.
you're
You're
Banks.
giving Megan nightmares.
but you get my point, and I'm not going to talk about this
Damn
anymore.
flashbacks.
Name redacted. Moving on.
Well, yes, moving on.
Yes,
Like-
yes.
Like, I mean, I'm hoping towards like when we get to the like actual go home show for the Mania, for the main card people, for themselves. I'm hoping we get that one last gear to basically say, okay, now I'm excited for them, because I'm already excited for the wrestling itself when it comes to night one. The wrestling itself, I'm looking forward to. It should be a showstopper. But as far as the build I'm concerned with, right now, I'm just like, like,
Yeah.
I don't really feel the build at all as I'm supposed to feel.
Yep.
But I know the wrestling.
Do you think that's
Go ahead.
Do you think that's because of the lazy booking since we've been on the road to WrestleMania? Either in a storyline which was set from so early on that they've just slowly gone off topic and off track, or like other storylines that have just been booked last minute. Do you think it has been the off course booking, like involving other people, and the actual lack of the typical contract signings and backstage brawls and things like that that's missing? What do you think is missing?
I mean, you said it right there. We're like, basically they've been going off topic, and plus they had the
Eric's so giddy.
I got an idea.
Like,
I got an idea. How we can really make the go home show between Sasha and Belair fire. You want to know how I suggest it?
Talk to me about it.
We just do what Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan did back in 2015 before Fastlane. Just everything.
You know what would be great? Oh, I've just had the best idea. Main event of SmackDown, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair in the middle of the ring. We're ending the Thunderdome era for a while, for the weekend. Just have a whole big out brawl, smash a few screens, because the next time we see the superstars will be in front of people. So why don't they just go out and smash the screens and beat the heck out of each other?
Yeah.
And then, get
Yeah, I
Pierce,
like that
other
idea.
people
I
A
in-
really
chaotic
like that
brawl.
idea.
It doesn't hurt to have that once in a while when you're building towards something big. We see it.
I miss people being thrown at a Titantron. So that would be cool.
Oh, so
There
do
is something
I.
else
But yeah,
I keep bringing up regarding Sasha and Belair and how fans don't want that match to be the main event. I'm like, so remember when we all kept complaining about why doesn't the Royal Rumble winner headline Mania like they used to?
Exactly. I mean, they
Ding
brought
They
that
have two
up.
nights now. They don't have an excuse.
In the immortal
Right.
words of
Two
Billy,
winners,
ding dong,
two
hello.
There's two winners, two nights. Whatever one has the biggest build or whatever is the biggest match, main event Sunday, the other main event Saturday. We have two winners, two nights. It's really not that hard.
It's
Why?
common
Why do we have Drew
sense.
McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley?
But yeah, back to the booking of the.
I told you, Noah. Common sense is not
But yeah,
common.
back to the.
I know
what
that.
you was talking about. Back to what you was talking about, Megan. I feel like it has been off topic, and they're going like off course because how long did we have to wait for Bianca Belair to make her decision for her to see which championship she was going to go after? How long did we have to wait for that? And then all of us.
Full waste of time.
SpongeBob cue cards
Yep.
waiting to happen.
I just remembered
Exactly.
something.
For me, this is a make or break for Bianca Belair. I mean, she won the Royal. It's right for her to win the SmackDown Women's Championship.
I'm not sure, you know.
Well, we'll talk more about that in
I don't think
ATW
it's
episode
fine.
3
I
teaser.
just remembered
But
something.
Eric just remembered something.
Go ahead.
Remember how some site, I won't say their name, went ahead and said, we need to add Charlotte to this, and we're being serious.
Waiting.
Don't
fire!
add Charlotte to things.
We don't need Charlotte.
Guys,
Charlotte,
Charlotte is like the
stay
little
out.
plaster, right? Anytime there's something wrong, you just put a little plaster on the situation. That is Charlotte. Oh, we're not sure. Let's just put her in to see if we can fix things. Charlotte
Because
can fix
Vince
everything.
will book her into oblivion until he
Yeah,
destroys her
yeah.
body
Yeah,
and
she will.
destroys her
So,
identity
not
among
because-
fans.
Yeah.
I'm
That
getting
does
to the
not
point where I
care at
actually
all.
feel bad for her. Like, it's got
That
to a
is-
point
I've
where I
been,
feel
I've been
bad
feeling
for
bad for
Charlotte.
her.
It's not Charlotte's fault
that's
one bit.
Vince's golden
mean,
girl. At the
it's-
end of the day,
It's a
the end
damn
of the day,
shame
when we-
Charlotte's getting booked like that.
Bam, there
exactly.
it is.
And at the end of the day, when you look at it, that is
Vincent
Vince's
Kennedy
golden
McMahon
girl.
booking
Yep.
mentality.
That is Vince's golden girl. At the end of the day, at the end of the show, when we look at it, we're going to see that Vince used Charlotte because that is Vince's golden girl at the end of the day.
All comes down to booking, folks, whether you like the town
Last
on screen all the
question.
time or
That's
not.
right.
Last question
wouldn't
to
be
King. Who do you
but-
think's going to win?
What's that?
Oh.
Who would you book as the winner?
Oh,
That's a tough one.
that
Because
really
Sasha
is a tough
has
one.
not won WrestleMania.
Correct.
I think.
Oh,
Okay,
and five?
Let me change my pick this time. I think Sasha should retain because she's never won anything at WrestleMania as far as I know.
She
But
hasn't.
also,
She needs to
also
break
one
that
that
streak.
lets,
She needs
also
to break.
one that it is
She needs-
Bianca's first WrestleMania, but I feel like it's not Bianca's time yet. Anyway,
soon.
when it comes to main roster,
Too soon.
Bianca is too
Way
green
too
right
soon.
I
now.
agree.
She's
Way
Okay,
too
green
speaking
soon.
of
right
too
now.
soon, let me throw to Eric on my next section of the Carol's division, Rhea Ripley versus Oscar. for the Raw Women's
title. Here we
Ooh,
Speaking of too
man.
soon,
Here we go.
Ooh, man.
segue over.
Okay. Okay,
Wow.
the too soon part. Like Rhea Ripley already had a match last year, which was Charlotte.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's not remind people of that. No one needs to be reminded.
As
Oh,
you already
God.
know this. I torture
No.
people.
Don't
with
give me the
information.
nightmare.
I
No.
torture people with
The
information.
nightmare. Good joke.
Oh,
Give me.
But like every time I
Don't
hear
give
that
me any
Rhea
something
Ripley's
that
not
can
ready
wake
for
me
the
up in the
title,
dead
I'm
of the night.
Don't
I'm
give me
like,
Vietnam flashbacks.
Okay, so besides Charlotte, who do you think could really challenge Asuka at this point? Peter Royce has not been
Shayna
built up.
Baszler.
No offense to Noah. They
Shayna
haven't built up any
Baszler,
women
Shayna
to
Baszler.
really to challenge Asuka, though at the same time Asuka's not been built up as much because Vince still has a patriotism of America.
and
Not
plus,
to
I don't mean
mention
cut you- I
the
don't mean to
focus
cut
on the
you
Raw
off,
Women's
but
division. Go ahead, King.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Eric, whenever you said that, but Asuka has not defended her title, and I read this since September, and I think it was at Clash of Champions.
Gee, the
Against
one
the person
night
they fired.
where every tile was on the line.
Remember, they fired her a month later because she did third party.
Oh, that's right, because the last
That's
real challenger
right.
to Asuka's title was Selena Vega.
And then when you realize that, it's like, so when is WWE gonna fall through with that whole let's just strip her of the title because hey, she hasn't defended it in over a month because everyone kept saying that about Brock Lesnar.
Well,
but we can't use that ruling.
But it's not her fault. She turns up every week for her not to be used. But anyway, let's get back to the actual match that's booked at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be a whole nother hour topic.
Like, Rhea Ripley, I feel like she has the chance to prove everyone wrong that she had, but her being Asuka is like, I don't want her to beat Asuka because Asuka, I don't even think she's won WrestleMania yet. And Rhea Ripley, she was screwed last year because of management.
No, she hasn't.
Yep, you're right. She hasn't.
So really, I feel like Asuka and Rhea are like in a lose-lose situation. Rhea was screwed last year. She should get a win here, but Asuka's been screwed almost every year, so she should get the win here. So it's like we're kind of in a lose-lose situation
they
here.
They booked themselves into a corner.
Literally.
Okay, should I let go?
Yeah, and then you
gotta remember, just go off?
And then you gotta remember the original plan was Asuka loses to Lacey, and we get Lacey versus Charlotte. And even then, I think the plan would have changed what happened with Andrade.
So, okay, you know what? I think it's time. Let me talk to you guys.
Ding ding, the following content is scheduled for one fall. This is your main event of the evening.
Comes the rant, guys.
Go ahead, sis.
Now.
She can't control herself.
Okay.
All right. Serious time.
Okay. But let's just talk about the fact that they decided they were gonna announce the big coming of Rhea Ripley. They're gonna put, all these stupid videos and just, Rhea Ripley's coming, and ruin the surprise anyway. For her then to come out and challenge Asuka in the middle of a moment that should have been Peyton Royce's moment, okay? That should have been Peyton Royce's time, but her whole match was pointless because it was all just to set up Rhea Ripley, and Peyton Royce deserves better, okay? I don't care what anyone says, Peyton Royce deserves better. But Rhea comes out and she challenges Asuka with only 2 weeks before Mania, or 3 weeks, whatever the actual time was, but not long, okay? We had no time to build any type of realistic match, which is why, in my opinion, the match that Asuka should have been against someone she has history with if you're not going to be able to book things with a decent amount of time. You want to book WrestleMania like 2 or 3 weeks in advance. I think that's a stupid idea, but that's just the way they roll, apparently. So instead of booking something with meaning, with history, that they don't have to so much, build, they just throw Rhea Ripley into a situation that's unfair to her. One, a lot of the, main roster fans aren't going to be as knowing of Rhea Ripley as right now. She had a WrestleMania match, but, there are still the people that don't watch NXT for some reason that I don't know. And they're not going to know Rhea Ripley as well. So no one is going to really those people aren't going to be behind her to win. Asuka hasn't been able to do anything interesting with this reign. Again, not her fault. She's been stuck in this worst era of we don't care about women's wrestling. So now they're going to put these 2 women that have been so badly treated, and someone has to lose. If Rhea loses again at WrestleMania, especially in her first match being on the main roster, what does that mean for Rhea Ripley's future? But then what happens if you give Rhea Ripley the Raw Women's title when there is no division to back her? Your champion can only be as good as their defenses and as the other women in the locker room. And as of right now, Rhea holds the title, but then what? There is no one for her to face, and her reign will be the same as Asuka's. And we just have this endless cycle of nothing. So is it time for Rhea to have the title? Is it time for Asuka to give up the title? But what happens next? Because I feel like they have put no thought into anything apart from Reginald, Nia, Jackson, Shayna making TikToks. That is the only thing that they have put any thought into. the past few months.
I had to wash my eyes after watching that monstrosity.
man.
I'm so damn glad.
Hey, since
You know what?
it's Holy Week, I didn't wash with regular water. I washed my face with holy water. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that monstrosity.
I'm glad I do not have the TikTok
dominant.
app or an account.
Me
I
neither. I'm
agree.
on the same boat
Same
with you,
here.
brother. Same
Let
boat with
Megan
you.
here,
talk,
bro.
please.
Dominant NXT Women's Champion. It's not even an argument. I don't think you can argue it. You put Shayna and Asuka on the same level. Okay, we'll just put them together because there's no argument. But Shayna Baszler is the most dominant NXT Women's Champion, the only two-time NXT champ. Charlotte does not count. I don't care what you say. But she's the only
Exactly right.
Shayna two-time.
That's straight facts.
Longest combined.
Facts, though.
Facts.
Two
Facts.
different eras. Megan's gonna
True.
get blasted on Twitter, but
That's fine. That's fine.
You can
You
handle
can
it.
come for me.
Hey,
I get fine.
wait.
But I'm speaking the truth. Shayna Baszler has the longest combined NXT title reign. She was the most dominant champion, and then they decided to put her on TikTok with Nia Jax and Reginald.
Hey,
when
wait.
Reginald should be in the PC learning how to wrestle so he can actually be a good champ because he's pretty good in the ring, you know? But instead, he's being carried around, literally carried around by Nia Jax and standing in the spotlight of the Queen of Spades.
Hold on. Shayna is the only two-time champion both times. NXT and Women's Tag Team Champions.
Oh, wait.
that's true.
Shayna
That's right.
two-time is a thing.
That's right.
Shayna likes to double it. She goes, look, I can show you I can do it once, but hold on, let me show you I can do it again. Because Shayna is just the best. But let me stop before I continue forever.
Guys, let me because Megan created an ATWView list. If you look Evolution 2, I mean, you have the power in your hands. I mean, I'll start.
Wait, hold on. Before we change topics, we still have one more division that we haven't covered yet. In my opinion, the most important division to cover. Now let me throw it to Noah because this is the division I'd put in your hands. We have the NXT UK division that we haven't touched on. That is still growing, and we have a champion who is the longest reigning champ. Despite what I think, 6 months no defense, we can't really count it, but it's okay. Kaylee Ray no longer really has challenges because she's defeated everyone apart from
Emily McKenzie.
Yep.
I mean, that's true as well. But where do we go from here with the NXT UK women's division? Because I feel like they're start of reaching a stalemate here.
Well, again, that's the problem.
Something.
That's the problem when it comes to the roster. Before I give my pontification about women's wrestling in the UK, Eric has just thought of something.
So I don't know if this is true or not, but there's rumors that after what happened in New Japan, Rhea Priestley's heading back to the UK to do something, and she's not signed anywhere as far as I recall. So what if she shows up in UK NXT?
Well, we have seen the start of influence now in NXT UK because I was going to allude to we have a newcomer now in one Stevie Turner, RIP Hana, former member of Cyber Tokyo Squad, aka Bobby Tyler. Pretty good debut match, I would think. Definitely brings a whole different dimension of styles as she took on Aloy Valkyrie, who continues to challenge not only herself in the ring, but herself outside it personally. In my opinion, I still say it. She is undefeated, and I feel like she could be the next one to challenge for the title. But it looks like right now they're taking a different approach to this entire division with this tag match. We don't know Isla Dawn's agenda with this new Dark Witch identity. And now you have Millie McKenzie and Michael Satomura tag team together. That's a potential number one contenders match waiting to happen. What I love about NXT UK and their women's division is all the different aspects they have. And there is so much room for growth and potential in a lot of their talents. And right now, I don't see a challenger initially, but that's the thing about NXT UK. And I feel this helps them. Longer term storytelling and booking, and they do less with more. Keep in mind, NXT UK is only an hour long, and they still can give you at least 2 or 3 different things regarding the women alone. So as far as the women's division, I still feel it's one of the stronger booked top to bottom. But as far as finding a challenger to Kaylee Ray, who I'm surprised beat the final boss, your guess is as good as mine right now. It's too initial. but I would love to see somebody come back and join a division that is so underrated. Bring Nikki Cross to NXT UK. Now, Lexi may speak.
Nikki Cross. That's what I was supposed to say. Bring her to NXT UK.
Former Queen of the Galaxy had a feud with Kaylee Ray back in ICW, where Tony Storm, Kaylee Ray, and Nikki Cross were all under the same roof.
Tony Storm.
Listen, NXT UK is one of the fastest growing brands. And I think if you can get people, more people, more wrestling fans, to just put eyes on NXT UK, which would be putting people like Nikki Cross. You know, we've had in our NXT UK takeovers, we've always got someone that, you know, shows up to get more people to actually view the product. But I think someone like Nikki Cross could really bring not only Nikki Cross as a professional wrestler and as someone that is well known, but also her chaotic, crazy energy fits so well in the brand. If you look at not even just the women's superstars, but across the whole brand itself, that chaotic energy just fits in so well.
Or she could come back as Queen of the Galaxy, be all about her, all prestige.
Guys.
Yes.
Can we let Lex talk?
That NXT UK.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
You
Lex.
know who should challenge Kaylee Ray?
Who?
Ooh.
Well, she's in the chat right now.
All right. Look, she can't go anywhere. She's on lockdown. Otherwise, she probably would try and storm the friggin' NXT UK training center. If nothing else for her touring, like, I'm in training, give me a chance. Because I could definitely see Megan pursuing that. But again, that is a story for another day.
Hey, wait. The next ATWView, she has the NXT UK title now, women's title now on her shoulder.
Episode.
And then we question, Megan, where did you get the belt?
That was eerily similar to something I've seen on the TV. Oh, by the way,
wait. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Megan said, I stormed the NXT UK center and then beat Kaylee Ray.
That's like people saying I have the NXT championship. It's a replica, guys. I just sat in a hotel room because I had it with me on NXT tour, but off topic.
You gotta remember, someone did steal the AEW belt.
That is true. From a restaurant. That is true. And I'm sure it's not the first and only time a actual championship belt has been stolen, but thankfully recovered. But I do want to say one more thing about championship belts. Thank God NXT UK championship belts have no damn Velcro. But I digress.
Yeah,
damn
the Velcro
right.
The kids ones. Oh,
guys, I want to tell you something.
I'll be back.
Go for it.
I got a funny story to tell y'all.
What you got?
I was in the store the other day and I seen an AEW replica title.
Yes.
And
is it in Walmart?
Yeah, it definitely was.
The first number one stop.
I seen.
Wait, was there action figures also?
Yes, I seen action figures from.
Wait. Was there an Orange Cassidy figure?
Oh, for the love of God!
No, I didn't see an Orange Cassidy figure.
Trying to send him one.
God damn it!
I did see Io Shirai.
Oh, you mean this girl right here?
Yes, I seen that one. And you know what I did? I picked it up and put it right on my shoulder, and I quoted MJF and said, "I'm better than you, and you know it."
And we went off topic, ladies and gentlemen. Casey Flynn, he'll be here all night. With that
all Casey needs is a Burberry scarf, and that's it.
I got Burberry tie. I got Burberry tie and the suit. I got Burberry tie and suit, so I guess I'm Wardlow, but I digress. Anyway, NXT UK Women's Division, incredible potential, still growing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna attempt to wrap things up a little bit.
All right.
Because we've been going on for a while.
Yeah.
So
but that's what happens.
Attempt to wrap things up with yeah. We do like to talk, and I would let it go on for longer, but I'm getting tired now. But let's start to wrap things up with my any other comments about women's wrestling, because we've had, you know, Women's History Month, and although I'm not happy with you know, on International Women's Day, the matches the lack of matches we had that day, and you know, I went on my big rant before we came on here today, and you know, see on my Twitter, I went on a very, very big, large rant.
Right. Seen it.
I grabbed fruit salad during that time and came back to an exploding Megan. Good grief.
And
I just
you went off like a nuke.
Yeah, because I'm sick of Shayna Baszler being.
Hey, wait. When Megan ranted about that thing, I was drinking more and spat my drink. Like, what the fuck?
Listen,
I was getting ready to go into my nuclear hiding.
Oh my god!
That I always go to.
You think I ran? Hello. Anyway,
listen, I'm just sick of roll-ups and 2-minute matches, because as remember, we've been speaking about women's wrestling for. Yeah. We've been talking about women's wrestling for a very long time here, and we've had chats like this often, because I know that all of us in this chat now, we can all agree that women's wrestling is amazing, and when given the opportunity, every single woman in all the divisions across all women's wrestling, even the likes of Lana, I'll give her some credit, that everyone can do something in the ring, and there are so many women that can put on.
The way she said that. The way she said that. Even the likes of Lana.
1 table, 2 tables.
No. Don't start that. Don't start that.
5
I never should have even begin that 1 table, 2. I never should even start.
Hey guys. If you want a great women's match, go watch Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. Lights out.
Yes. Oh God, yeah.
Thunder Rosa, my
wait. That
love that match.
Ended Women's Month with a bang.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can continue to grow in the right direction, instead of, you know, taking backward steps with roll-up pins and 2-minute matches, and there's going to be a collision after, so let's just shorten the match to 3 seconds, and let's have Asuka beat up Shayna but then never go anywhere with it. You know, I hope we can move forward from these things.
Yeah.
Please,
and
no more roll-ups, no more finger poke of dooms, no more
They did say finger poke of doom.
They haven't done that yet, thankfully. Because that did
I
the
can
business.
imagine the
That's how Shayna's gonna lose her next match, I'm sure. But I wanna just say, open the floor to any further comments and any other things we want to talk about briefly.
I broke King when I said the finger poke of doom.
Oh, yeah, Eric, go.
Okay, when we were originally going to have a plan to talk about Evolution 2, I only actually had one match I thought it should have happened. It was right there. The stars were aligned.
Yeah, I know where he's going.
Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
Okay.
Asuka, Io Shirai, and the returning Kairi Sane.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, I'll book my own Evolution 2 in a rapid fire okay, Legends versus modern era women. In a elimination Survivor Series style match.
Yes. Wait, like 3 teams?
No,
like
5-on-5.
About to say traditional 5-on-5. I think
yeah.
There you go. Traditional.
In like two team 5-on-5.
2 teams of 5.
Like present and past, or like present.
Yeah, I have my pick.
The classics versus the today is what he's going for. Go for it, Lex.
Trish Stratus, Lita, Beth Phoenix, Mickey James, and who could possibly Victoria probably.
Oh yeah, that's right. She did show up at the Royal Rumble.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Good
one.
Versus I don't know who could you pick on the modern day. I could possibly
Shayna.
pick. No, we'll save another one. We'll say versus Natalia, Naomi.
Ooh.
Who could possibly
Gotta stand out beyond the 4 horsewomen I see.
Rhea
know, right?
Ripley.
Oh,
Who could possibly
Shotzi Blackheart.
Shotzi Blackheart
Ass.
and Dakota Kai.
oh,
You just made Casey very happy.
Interesting.
Yeah, you
Okay,
did.
okay, that's a 5-on-5. My next match is 4-on-4. 4 horse.
Don't go into a tag mania match, all right? You got your
No,
pick, 5-on-5.
no.
Let me holler at you,
No,
player.
4-on-4. No,
Yeah.
let me book this. This is my booking.
Fine.
4-on-4.
Fine.
NXT 4 horsewomen versus the MMA 4 horsewomen. And
Oh, there it is.
There
No.
it is.
I no longer
Wait,
want
wait.
to see this match.
wait.
I no longer want this.
No.
What?
But this
Makes
one.
sense.
No, I've given up.
No, okay. But in a fantasy standpoint.
Well, again, he's
It's-
fantasy booking, and we can
Okay.
fantasy book all night. But hell,
In
what a
a
way to
fight
close
pit.
it.
No.
In a fight pit. Tell me
No,
it's in
no,
the
no,
fight
no.
pit.
War
In a
games.
steel cage.
There it is.
War games.
All day.
You know
And
what?
don't
I
have it
wanna see this
open.
match.
Don't
If
have it
it's-
open. Actually have a ceiling. Make it old school. That's the way I see it.
you want to know what should be a
I
dream match?
only want this match if it's not a match on WWE TV. I want a backstage, like in the car park, real fight, and someone just records it and puts it on YouTube. I do not want no Vince involvement in this. If I ever get this match, I want the MMA of 4 horsemen to just wreck the place.
Okay,
and break everyone.
okay,
Yeah,
for the-
anarchy.
Okay, for the
I
tag
hear you, Megs.
for the tag team championships, triple threat.
Oh, good lord.
Iconics versus
Yes.
the Bella Twins
That's a
Play
good one.
cool.
versus Lay Cool.
That is a
God!
damn good one.
That is the
That is
that
a-
is the
That
dream.
is the one bathroom break. I'm going for that.
That is the dream. That is the dream.
Okay,
The only team to ever both be the Divas and or the Women's Champions together. And they were one word, folks. Flawless. Oh,
That
my
is the
God.
dream match. If that is my
Alright.
ultimate dream
Oh.
match.
okay. Now
Alright.
for the
Oh.
main event.
Oh, okay, we're at the end now. And then Eric has a
No,
five.
Fatal 4-way.
Here we go.
What
Main
Eric
event.
Why is
said.
with the numbers?
Because we want them to shine as everyone. They get
The numbers. And book everybody on a card.
book everyone in the card.
Who got legs to
Wow.
do? Who got legs to play the part of Theodore Long? Let me on a
Oh,
tag
my
team player.
Hold
He
on,
sounds
Blake.
like the Royal Rumble advert. It's all about the numbers.
It's all
Yeah,
about the
clearly.
numbers. Okay, fatal 4-way. Meiko Satomura,
All right.
Io Shirai,
All right.
Kairi
Alright.
Sane, and Asuka. Joshi Mayhem.
Damn.
I gotta be honest, just those 3
Damn.
matches alone, that's a
That'd
pay-per-view
be-
right there that I would
Wait,
pay money
wait.
to see.
That is a
But this
stacked
ain't a
pay-per-view.
fatal 4-way that I wanted. It's a fatal 4-way extreme rules match.
That makes sense because we know
That
these 4
would
can
be
get
all
crazy.
great. That would be
Yoshi Pro,
great.
strong style and weapons, candlesticks galore, and who knows what else. Lex, you got a hell of a creative mind, brother. Eric,
Wait,
I just
Yeah.
saw something.
and this evolution is hosted by Sasha Banks.
No, hosted by Bailey.
No, I have
Ding
plans for
dong.
Sasha.
Hello, has to be
Uh,
Bailey.
ding
no.
Hello.
We do not need that talk show on a pay-per-view, all right?
Wait,
Yes,
wait,
we
wait,
do.
wait.
Sasha.
Wait, wait.
Lost all control.
Wait. Have a Kevin Owens show and Ding Dong Hello in one segment. That will be funny as hell.
I,
And Dora
I,
just
Hosted
shows
by
up in the middle of the
Big
ring.
Sasha.
I got one. Imagine if WWE and AEW did a crossover, and this is my fantasy booking
We're
Fantasy
we're
booking just
breaking
like
the boundaries.
Lex said.
We're breaking the boundaries.
Here's who
Are we doing
I
the
would
forbidden?
add-
Forbidden door this time?
here's who I would add to the show. I would add Miki, where she could sing.
Oh God! Maki Ito. No. Yeah, we literally have reached the end of this episode. Megan, you've lost all control over your own podcast.
I got it. Here's another one. Mickey
I love
and Joey and Hall singing a duet.
Oh God!
No.
Joey and Hall? Order in the podcast. That is enough. You guys, I'm shutting you down. We're done. We're done for now. Eric has the ball.
No. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Maki Ito, Julian Hall, and Billy Kay singing.
Okay. Eric, as we close this insanity, what do you have to say?
Okay.
Add Casey to that list because he's gonna sing "Oh Canada" and "Evolution."
Let Eric speak. Let Eric speak.
Okay, guys.
Let Eric speak. Calm down. Let Eric speak as we close this session.
Okay, imagine this. China in her prime versus independent wrestling scene hardcore match with hardcore Candice LeRae.
Take my money. Take my money.
Take my money.
Take my effing money.
Oh, take my money. That one. That
Or
too
I
now.
got this. The match that we should have had at SummerSlam. Take Charlotte out of the mix. Put Sasha in. Trish and Sasha.
That is the match that was teased at the Rumble, never capitalized on.
Oh, wait, I got that.
But why are you guys surprised?
I'm not surprised. That's the point.
I got better. Two people get their dream matches. Bailey and Sasha versus Lita and Trish Stratus.
That's the dream tag. That's the dream tag.
That happened too.
For the tag team championships.
All right, should we wrap this up now?
Yeah. I think that's officially a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the ATWView episode 2, celebrating, respecting, assessing, discussing, fantasy booking women's wrestling. We appreciate it. We acknowledge it. We hope it only accelerates from here. On behalf of our host, Megan Chibba, I'm the Superman Noah Foster. We are ATW. We will see you next week, Friday night, after SmackDown for ATW Episode 3, WrestleMania. Take care, good night, and as always, respect women in wrestling. And that's all I got to say about that. Peace, folks.